Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we're going to be looking ahead to Game Week 21. Specifically, I'm going to be implying whether you should buy, save a buy, or hold on to that just alright guy. Yes, a buy, sell, hold video ahead of Game Week 21. If you're new around here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you do enjoy the video, and well, let's get straight on into this one. So first things first, a quick explanation of how this video is going to work. We've got the vertical axes here, and this is the form of the players, how well they've been playing down to how badly they've been playing, whether they've been balling or whether they've been stinking. The horizontal axis represents the fixtures, how bad they are compared to how good they are, how ace they are. So that means in the top right hand corner, highlighted here in green, we're going to have our buy section. So this is when the players are balling and when they've got decent fixtures as well. In the bottom left, we're going to have our sell section where the players stinking or they just got really bad fixtures, and we have our hold section in the top left and the bottom right highlighted here in blue. So maybe their form isn't so good, but they've got good fixtures coming up, or maybe they've got poor fixtures but their form is pretty good. So firstly, we're going to be considering 5 defenders, and well, kicking us up is João Cancelo. I think everyone really knows where Cancelo's going in this list. He's been unbelievably good and has pretty good fixtures coming up with the potential of some double game weeks. I'm tempted to, you could easily just put him comfortably outside of the chart, kind of going all the way off the screen there, but I think Cancelo for me is definitely in the top right hand corner here. I mean, yeah, he looks unbelievable. Potential captaincy option as well. I think Cancelo is getting to a kind of must-have point like Trent was last year. Then we have James Justin as well. I think James Justin looks very good going forward. Leicester without Jamie Vardy are lacking a little bit, but Leicester still have been good defensively and have decent fixtures. He's not quite up in the echelons of Cancelo, but I definitely do still think that it is a buy. So we're just going to love Justin and just kind of in behind Cancelo here because, I think he looks like a very good option. Then the third option we have is Stuart Dallas for Leeds. Leeds obviously are a side that concede and ship a lot of goals. Dallas going forward hasn't been actually too great of late, and their fixtures don't look particularly good. Now that they don't have that kind of double game week that some people were expecting, their fixtures really don't look that good at all. And for that reason, I think that Dallas has to go in the sell section, more on the kind of side of fixtures rather than his particular bad form. So I'd rather kind of put him over this side, but all that being said, him personally, he hasn't actually been playing that well. We've been expecting some attack and returns from him, and he hasn't really been delivering. So Dallas for me is a definite sell. Now the next player, Creswell, the actual highest scoring FPL asset so far this season, and he's looked really good, constantly popping up with assists to Thomas Soucek. So that's definitely something to consider if you don't have Soucek, or maybe you do have Soucek and you kind of want that combination. Definitely something to consider getting Creswell in. Looks like a really good option at 5.5 million. Now, with what I've said, you'd probably be expecting me to snap him into the buy section. However, because they do have Liverpool coming up next, I think I'm going to kind of have to stick him in the hold section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teeter him between the kind of buy and hold section. It's kind of a buy once the Liverpool fixture passes, if you know what I mean. But if you really want to bring him in, then I would most definitely bring him in if you're looking for that combination with Soucek. That's why he's kind of in between there. Obviously, if you've already got him, just hold on to him, and there's a potential that you could buy him maybe next week after the Liverpool game. And then the final player, Kurt Zouma. I mean, what's happened to Zouma? He looked so good at the start of the season, was bagging loads of goals under Frank Lampard. Has seemingly been a bit out of favour of late. I don't know whether he's got some kind of injury or he has just been out of favour in that Chelsea back line. But regardless of kind of how well he has played in the past, if he's not playing, he's got poor form and he's got poor fixtures. So Kurt Zouma, he is actually in this video, and I'm sticking him down in the bottom left because I saw that he was still kind of 23% owned, or he was still very highly owned. I don't know if it's quite that high of amount, but he was very highly owned, and so I'm just kind of sticking him in there, saying, you need to kind of get rid of him. Maybe for likes of Cancelo, Justin, or Creswell in there. Now, taking a look at some of the midfielders, and there is a lot of good discussion to be had about midfielders this season. There are kind of seemingly not enough spots for midfielders this season because so many of them are doing so well. So firstly, we've got Jack Grealish. I'm kind of considering Grealish as that kind of 7 to 8 mil holder spot where you've got the likes of Madison, Barnes, Zaha, and Grealish, because I think at the minute all of these guys are in the bye. They would just kind of be in a different kind of part of the bye. So, you know, Grealish would be more on the kind of balling side than the fixtures side. Maddison he would definitely be on the balling side, but maybe more towards the fixtures side. And Zaha would definitely be very along the fixture side. He has been playing well, but he has unbelievable fixtures. So with that being said, I think I can comfortably move Jack Grealish over into the buy side. Offers very, very good value at 7.7 mil. And as I say, it's just kind of a placeholder for that 7 to 8 mil option of the likes of Grealish, Barnes, Maddison and Zaha. And then we've got a man, Mohamed Salah. What to do with Salah? You know, Liverpool have been on really poor form of late. They did just beat Spurs 3-1 and Salah had a goal, unfortunately disallowed, but now I think it's sort of 7 or 8 games without a return for Salah for 12.5 million. That just is not good enough. However, for me personally and my team, I definitely have a lot more problems to sort out than kind of needing to snap out Salah. I definitely wouldn't get rid of Salah from -4 because he's really a player who can punish you for that even if he has been on bad form. So, you know, he's got really, really bad form, so I'm going to put him on the stinky side of form, but just kind of in between the hold and the buy, because I do consider it as maybe a little bit of a luxury transfer if you are able to move him out. So I'd definitely be sorting out other things first before you kind of move on Salah, especially now that kind of we have picked up that Kane injury, which I'll come to in the attackers. There are a lot of things that people will have to sort out for this game week other than Salah. So yeah, for me, if you've got the transfer to transfer out Salah, I'd potentially look at doing so. But for now, it could potentially be a hold if you've got other things you need to sort out. Now, the next player, Bruno Fernandes, and many of you, as myself, will be very frustrated with him this week. He blanked against Sheffield United. Not only that, but Manchester United did end up losing. He picked up 2 points and, you know, has looked very, very solid throughout this season. Manchester City's fixtures are okay. His form hasn't been too great of late, and for that reason I'm probably going to put him on the kind of hold section with decent fixtures. I don't think it's quite kind of ready to sell Bruno Fernandes. You know, as I say, you'd probably rather sell Salah before Bruno Fernandes. So maybe if you are looking to take him out, maybe just hold off for a while, because he does have very, very good fixtures and could punish you if you do take him out. So for now, I'm going to be looking at holding Bruno Fernandes, but it definitely isn't kind of like a snap buy-in that I potentially would have been recommending like a few weeks back. Then the next player we come to is Ilkay Gundogan, and this is a very, very simple one, coming in at 5.6, 5.7 million, still pretty lowly owned and still reasonably differential. Obviously loads of people are going to be snapping him in, and for right reason. He's been bagging goals and he scored a brace against West Brom. Manchester City's fixtures look very good coming up. They've got double game weeks due as well, so you know that kind of game week 23, 24, 26, 27 where their fixtures maybe don't look great. You just have to remember that is actually padded up with quite a few double game weeks, so their fixtures are actually pretty decent, and for that reason I think I can just move Ilkay Gundogan straight into the buy section. I'm going to move him right in this kind of top right hand echelon just for the form and the fixtures that Manchester City do have. Ilkay Gundogan looks like a great option. Now we come to our final midfielder, and that is Thomas Soucek. Obviously just scored a brace against Crystal Palace. Now one thing I would say about Soucek is if you're bringing him in, if you have him, he's a player that I personally would probably be playing every week. And maybe just take away the kind of rotational aspect of your team and just kind of have a cheap attacker, so you don't have to constantly have that debate, because Soucek is the kind of player that will punish you if you bench him, which I saw a lot of this week. So I think you just kind of have to play Soucek through the good and bad fixtures, because he will end up picking up a goal, and when he picks up the goals, he sweeps up the bonus points as well. But with the kind of other options that are at that price range, like Gundogan, like Saka, even Rafinha, I think there are other players that you can look at kind of buying into right now other than Soucek. So for me, Soucek 100% a baller, so he's going to be on the balling side. His fixtures are okay, but just simply because there are kind of other better options, or potentially better options. You know, Soucek has been playing really well. I don't want to take anything away from the guy. He's been absolutely smashing it so far this season. But for me right now, it is just a hold. I'd be looking at maybe bringing in Gundogan or Saka before I'd be looking at bringing in Soucek. And then finally, moving on to the attackers, and our first man here, Patrick Bamford. I'm going to go stick him, you know, straight down here. Poor form, extremely poor form, really poor fixtures. You know, I'm almost expecting him to actually be benched in the coming game week. I just think, you know, Bielsa taking him off at the 59th minute kind of showed that frustration, and he's shown his frustration with Bamford all throughout the season because he's been missing a lot of sitters. You've got to think, you know, Leeds could be in a much better position than they are if they had a striker who could score the goals that, you know, the other players were putting on an absolute plate for Bamford. So for me right now, Bamford is a sell, a player you should be getting rid of, and well, I'll discuss a few potential options as we go through the video of players you can replace them with. Now, Harry Kane, I was going to put Harry Kane, snap him into that top right hand corner. However, you know, he's injured, but I would kind of wait and see what is going on with the injury. So we've got until tomorrow morning, or maybe until next week, just to kind of decipher what to do with Harry Kane. Obviously, if you really want him out this week, you can put him in the kind of sell section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place him right in between the sell and the hold section, just because we're really kind of waiting for a little bit more news on, you know, the injury, how long he's going to be out for, how many game weeks he's going to miss. But I definitely think it could be time to get Harry Kane out of your team, just because it's such an expensive player to hold, to just be sitting there on the bench. But that being said, if it is only a couple of weeks, a player worth holding on to, especially if you've got value in him, because he will be able to return you in the double game week. I do think when it comes to game week 26, Harry Kane will be the player that people are looking out for. Then we have Mikel Antonio for West Ham, a man on a blistering form. Definitely would be kind of the more baller side than the fixture side for me, although his fixtures don't look too bad. And now, you know, with the injury that we have picked up from Kane, I'm tempted to shift him more over to the buy side, even though they do play a Liverpool in the next game. I do think West Ham actually do stand a chance of scoring that game. So what I'm going to do, like Kane, I'm going to put him kind of in between the grid, as it were. So on that kind of hold to buy section, depending on kind of your plans for this week. Obviously, if you have him, definite hold for me. I wouldn't particularly be snapping him in for this Liverpool game. But with the fixture they have after that, the likes of Aston Villa, I think West Brom, are kind of fixtures of that sort. They've got very good fixtures. 23 and 24, I'm definitely looking at bringing them in. So yeah, I think Antonio for now, between hold and buy, I think is fair. Then we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a player that I'm definitely looking at bringing in. And you know, his form on paper doesn't actually look too great of late, but we have to remember he didn't actually have a game week 19. He was injured just before that. So he's actually only blanked, I think, in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Since, like, I think his last return was game week 15 or 16, so it feels like a long time ago, but he hasn't actually been playing that much, and he hasn't been having kind of his attacking group around him. So with the Kane injury and other players like Bamford needing to go, I think DCL for me is going to go into the buy section. Good fixtures, and I don't actually think he's shown too bad a form to kind of consider him as a really bad option. At 7.6 million, he still offers good value, and as I say, he's got those other attacking assets like James Rodriguez back, Digne's back, Richarlison's back. We saw that goal that Rodriguez scored against Leicester. What an absolute peach! And he's just going to keep on whipping those balls to DCL, and we very easily could see a goal scored for DCL this weekend against Newcastle. So for that reason, I'm going to put him on the buy side, more towards the fixtures than the form, but I still think a buy for me. So let's just plop him on over there into the buy section. Now we've got Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa. Aston Villa on really good form of late, and definitely a player that I'd be looking to bring in as a kind of replacement to Bamford, especially if you don't have Jack Grealish. And I do say, you know, Aston Villa on very good form of late. I mean that in terms of like an attacking set. They always look like they're going to bang goals in. They've got some decent fixtures, and he's been balling, he's been scoring in the previous games. So I do think just because he has got a better fixture than Antonio in the next game, I can kind of shift him more into the green than I can Antonio. And he's been balling, like I say, so I'm going to kind of put him over here. And that's kind of how I'd be looking at the attacker setup. Antonio, maybe wait a week. Ollie Watkins you can bring in this week, or DCL you can bring in this week. Unfortunately for Kane owners, it does look like he's injured, so it could well be a sell or a hold just to get some more information, and Bamford is most definitely a sell. Hope you have enjoyed this little buy, sell, hold video, or, you know, the buy, say buy or hold on to that just all right. Guy, if you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.